Welcome back to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Friday, August the 7th. First Friday of the month, we normally have an update from the Community Foundation of the Holland Zeeland area, but they are enjoying some time off. So they have invited one of their partner agencies to join us. We usually hear from them on a quarterly basis, but it's glad to be able to bring them with us on board today. We are joined today by the Advancement Manager for Resilience Advocates for Ending Violence, India Ambrose. He's on the other side of our table this morning. India, good morning and welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
And if you have a question for India about resilience or some of the things that we'll be discussing, she'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450. First of all, before we get into some topics of note, your position as the Advancement Manager, please explain.
Yes, as Advancement Manager, I do a little bit of this and that. I have my hand in like fundraising efforts and connecting with donors, as well as some communications work, like the social media that you see, that's me. Newsletters we send out monthly. I'm also the one kind of heading that. So it's a nice mix of engaging with the community, and I love it.
And to fully explain, as we do a little bit of a primer here, Resilience for Ending Violence, exactly what is the purpose of the organization?
Yes, and the purpose of Resilience, we provide services for survivors in our community, so that's Ottawa and Allegan, and we've been here serving survivors for nearly 50 years. And that looks like free and confidential services for domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking in our community. And that can look like our 24/7 helpline. There's always an advocate on the other end of the phone waiting. We have emergency shelter, advocacy support, trauma therapy for survivors and their children, housing support. We also have our sexual assault nurse examiner program in-house as well. So we have an array of services that support survivors in our community.
Now, Resilience works within Ottawa and Allegan counties.
Yes.
And partners with similar agencies in neighboring areas throughout West Michigan, so that it basically provides a web of coverage in this regard.
Yes, we are. We support everyone in the way that they need. And if they are not in our area, in terms of not being in Holland, we have dedicated advocates who are also willing to travel and be there for people and meet them where they are. So it's something that is there.
Because the victims and the survivors might be someone who is in a transient position, human trafficking, of course, I'm thinking along those lines. But again, somebody might not be here as a resident, but the situation occurred within this area. And working the other way, somebody's from this area transported away. A lot of times custody battles end that way, and you have to deal with that situation.
Yes, that as well.
That's why I mentioned it's a web type of situation. And then I know the term web might have negative connotations, but in this case, it's a positive one, helping out.
I would say also a good way to also say is like we're rooted, like I said, 49 years here. We've been rooted in the community, so that those roots, right, like web roots, those roots are deeply intertwined, and we try our best to be there and meet people where they are. And that's one of the things I love about Resilience is just that you don't have to know exactly what you need. You don't have to exactly have the right words to describe your situation, and that's okay. And we're here to meet you wherever those roots go.
And of course, it deals with victims, young, old, women, men. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Violence affects everybody. It affects our community at varying levels. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter the neighborhood you live in. Violence can affect anybody, and we're here to support everybody.
The reason why I began our conversation with India Ambrose of Resilience in this regard is I wanted to sort of lay the foundation of what exactly Resilience is, her role involved. Now let's deal with a subject and a topic that has brought not so much resilience, but the issue of family conflict that has gone bad. It happened late last month at a residence south of Grand Haven, and it ended up being a case of a family of 8 losing their lives. And as we are learning more about the situation, 6 children perished. The mother of those 6 children perished, and the father of the family is, as of right now, believed to have taken the lives of the other 7 and then took his own life at the end. Resilience has been a part of the situation in the sense of trying to address this particular matter. Talk a little bit about what resilience does when a situation such as this comes up.
Well, I would like to say first that, we're grieving alongside this community. It's never easy to hear about any act of violence at all, but to hear of something of this nature, it's always startling to people, especially when they may feel as if like it's a shock to their community, it's a shock to them. They, like as I said before, like violence can affect anyone. So our team shared a message right after this had happened, and the heart of it is this. Tragedies like this don't just affect the people directly involved. They ripple out to neighbors, coworkers, classmates, entire schools. Grief like this is heavy and it's shared, and Resilience just wants to express that we're here. We're here for other survivors who are looking to come out and share their story with an advocate, and we do, like I mentioned, our 24-hour helpline. So anyone that's affected by this can call us and express their feelings. We also do walk-ins Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you could also walk in and talk to an advocate as well, as one of the ways we can support in the community after a tragedy like this.
India, the family has set aside a memorial service for the victims in this particular situation. While it is understandable that the family would want some privacy to address their own grieving situation.
Yes.
I'm speaking as somebody from the outside and touching upon the fact that you mentioned about the community being affected, just the family itself. To me, having a memorial service where the community can come in and, you want to grieve privately, but you also realize you're not the only ones grieving in this situation.
Yes. We, as we know with the children, there were also services where, their friends and people that were in their classrooms came and celebrated their lives. It touches everybody. It's not just the household, not just the neighborhood, it spans. And that's also why, having conversations with some of our prevention programming too, where we work with the youth, where those are moments as well, where despite their age, of maybe the friends or the classmates of the young children that lost their lives, this is also showing how these types of events, abuse, and that type of stuff, it affects everybody in that way, where these classmates are possibly asking questions too. And they're also at stages where they're learning about healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, boundaries. So it's when this stuff happens, there's questions of all age groups, of the kiddos, perhaps of how can I, get involved after something like this has happened to my friends? What do I do? People of all ages, community members, people in the neighborhood, or people in different cities have even reached out, like, how can we help? How can we be here? And I think that, like you mentioned before, like when something like this happens, it definitely spans across all age groups, all communities, churches. Everyone is grieving together. And Resilience, we want to just make that clear that, we're in the community not only providing support services and providing, crisis response, but we're also working in the community for prevention services to, educate the children as well who may be affected with our youth programs. These conversations happen young, and we have to be sure that we're having them and knowing that, in a situation like this, grief isn't just touching, the adults affected. We have to also consider the mental health and the feelings of the children who are affected as well.
We're talking with India Ambrose with Resilience, Advocates for Ending Violence. If you have a question for India, she'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450. We have touched upon in previous conversations, you and I, and of course with Danielle Evans, who is the executive director of Resilience, about maybe warning signs that family and friends and maybe even the community in general can sense to try to maybe head off an explosive situation. We don't know all of the situation involving this particular matter in Grand Haven, but based on what we have seen so far from what has been publicly disclosed, one would get an impression that perhaps there were not any warning signs in this particular situation. That makes it even tougher to try to address not only the aftermath, but maybe trying to prevent this.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up. It is difficult sometimes when we talk about abuse. Some things aren't always, physical and always, out in the open. Abuse is when someone is abusing, it is a sense of power and control. So you want to control the situation, control the person, and exude this power over them. But also maybe keeping, when you're not behind closed doors, keeping up this sense that things are good, things are okay, and that this is not happening. So it's understandable when you're in varying situations, and I can't speculate particularly on this one, but
and we
general,
don't want to speculate, but I'm bringing up the possibility that in any situation there are warning signs, easy to spot, but sometimes there aren't any warning signs.
Yeah. And, there can be signs if you're a family member, a friend, or a trusted person in that person's life. And there may be, some signs that are shown in terms of, is that person isolated? Is that person isolated from, friends and family? Are there signs of power and control in person when you're, spending time with that individual? There may be signs. And when there aren't signs, I would say one of the things that we want to do and express is just create a space for people to know that they're believed and supported, and that, in hopes that with us spreading that message, that even if there maybe aren't visible signs to an outside person, that the individual in the situation knows that there is a place regardless, that they'll be believed. But I do think, especially for family members and friends who may be now, stepping up and wondering how can they spot the signs, also, feel free to connect with us. Give us a call. Stop in and visit. If you want to call our helpline, it's the 1-800-848-5991, 1-800-848-5991. You can call our helpline as a friend that's concerned, a family member that's concerned. You can walk into our Butternut office at 411 Butternut and visit and talk to an advocate. Hey, I have a friend that's, going through something. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but can I have some resources and some help to just be there and show them that I'm there for them, even if I can't identify the signs?
Now, question then becomes, I'm just thinking off the top of my head on this, India. Somebody comes in, and for one thing, a lot of times, I have this friend or I have this relative, and a lot of times it's actually them that does speak. But the thing is, they come in and maybe they don't. They think they see signs, but they don't know if it is. And should I do something? What should I do? How can I maybe be in the situation so that they don't have feelings of guilt afterwards, like I could have done something or I should have done something?
Yeah, I think, when you're in a position where there's someone that you love and you care about, and something may or may not be happening and you don't know, and you feel this drive and the want to support that person, but you don't quite know exactly what's going on. I would say that's, like I mentioned, that's where we can come in and you can talk to us and say, hey, I've been noticing this. I'm just stopping in. I care. Or maybe it's, just they take a flyer. Maybe they're just taking a brochure and kind of having something in their back pocket that may help them kind of deal with that. It's a lot as well. Not only, like I mentioned, with the community, when you're a survivor or you're a victim and you're the one in it, and like I mentioned, it's still affecting your community members, your friends, your family, your cousins, anybody. They may feel like this affinity to want to step in and, like you mentioned, not know exactly what to do. And if there aren't exact signs, that can be difficult as well. But like I mentioned, being that person to just show that, hey, I'm here for you. I'm showing up. I'm supporting you in any way that I can. I'm checking in. I'm, meeting you where you are. And that's exactly what we do at Resilience. Someone may come in and, like I mentioned before, might not exactly know of what they're going through personally as the survivor. They may not know that they're a survivor. They may not know that they're a victim in that situation. And sometimes it just takes seeing something on TV or seeing a social media post that we put up about, myths about abuse or facts about abuse education. That's why we try to meet everybody where they are, meet them in our newsletter, meet them in social media, or if they come in. So we want to just establish that Resilience is here. If you're a survivor and you don't know what you're going through exactly, you don't have to know. Just come in and talk to somebody. And the same thing for a supporter of a survivor. And you don't know what that friend is going through. Just come to Resilience and just sit with someone. Our advocates are amazing. And in some way, shape, or form, someone is there 24/7 to just talk you through what's going on, even if you don't know.
Today we have Indy Ambrose from Resilience joining us, subbing for our friends from the community Foundation of the Holland-Zeeland area. And Resilience is one of the organizations that does benefit from the Community Foundation. But it is, and I'm going to emphasize this is a nonprofit organization. This is not a government agency. This is basically a lot of people that rely on funding to be able to do what you do.
Yes.
So let me bring this point up. There are some ways that the community can help Resilience do what it does. One of it is coming up on Thursday, September 17th. Tell us all about that.
Yes. When we talk about what we do and where we are in the community, and like I mentioned, being here almost 50 years, a lot of that comes from our community. Like you mentioned, the Community Foundation. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for all that you do for us and the survivors and everyone in our community. I want to use this platform to say thank you and also invite you to come to Blue Star Bash. It is in Saugatuck at the Ivy House, September 17th. And it's just a way for us to, it's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. We had Denim and Desserts in April, and this one will be our fall signature event. It's our 5th one. So we've been here. We've been doing it for 5 years, supporting survivors. And this year we'll have kind of the same setup with some food trucks. We'll have waffle sticks and Tariko Taqueria. We'll have appetizers from Great Lake Charcuterie, desserts from Mouse's Cookies, drinks, live music by fan favorite Nate Holly, a silent auction featuring art from survivors and allies, a raffle, grand prize, and more, all rooted in supporting survivors and raising funds for us to remain in this community doing what we're doing. If you're interested in tickets, you can find those at resiliencemi.org/events. Again, resiliencemi.org/events. Another plug, if you or someone would like to donate art for the auction or items for the raffle, you can email me directly at India, INDIA, then a capital A, at resiliencemi.org. That's another way that you can get involved with us for Blue Star Bash.
Another way that one can get involved outside of perhaps that September 17th date is be a part of the Advocate Circle.
Yes, this is my favorite thing to talk about. It's our revamped monthly giving program. We love, and also a plug for, all the one-time gifts, but as we find that consistent giving monthly is one of the best ways to support us because, it's always coming in. You can donate as little as $1 a month or up to $100 plus. It's up to you. Any dollar amount supports survivors. You can help us keep that helpline answering those calls, help us keep that shelter open, and all of the other amazing services that we do for survivors so we can be here. And more importantly, it gives us year-round funding for our services. Members also can get some cool perks like branded merch and also free tickets to signature fundraisers like Blue Star Bash. So if you're interested in joining, you might also be able to get a couple free tickets to the event and do both things at the same time. If you're interested in providing reliable funding in that manner, you can join at resiliencemi.org/advocate circle. That's resiliencemi.org/advocate circle.
Another way people can be involved with the efforts of resilience is through its circles of resilience. Tell us about this program.
Yes. So there's also a way to get involved where, a lot of people have been asking, what can they do in their community? How can we be here? And Circles of Resilience is a way for you to gather your friends, your family, your colleagues, and create a space where then resilience can come out with one of our, advocates or me or anybody can come out and speak to the work that we do. And you will be the person that kind of creates that circle. So it could be your book club. It could be like you and your golf buddies. It could be your baking club, or however you would like to go about it. We could meet at the library. There's a multitude of ways that we can get involved, but it's a great way for us to connect and show that all of us in some way, shape, or form are connected, and who we know and what we know, all of that ties into how we can better support survivors together as a community.
If you need information overall, go to resilience.mi.org. That's the website, yes. resilience.mi.org. If you need aid and assistance in a prompt matter or being able to relate in a situation, call the 24/7 helpline at 800-848-5991. I'll repeat the number again, 800-848-5991. India Ambrose, we are very appreciative of you coming in today to tell us about what's going on with resilience. Part of it is because the next time that we have resilience scheduled on Talk of the Town, it'll be after the Blue Star Bash.
Yes.
So we're glad we were able to get you in today to tell us all about that. Wish you, Danielle, and everyone at Resilience the best, and look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you, Gary.
You've been listening to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone.
We want to thank Holland Fire Marshal Brent Grondike and India Ambrose from Resilience Advocates for Ending Violence for joining us today on Talk of the Town. Those segments have been or will be uploaded to our webpage at WHTC.com. In the podcast tab under Talk of the Town, you can listen or download it at your convenience for free. Thanks to Brian Spencer, What's New Around Holland. Thanks to all of you for listening today. Monday on WHTC's Talk of the Town, we'll get more recipes from Chef Terry Tucker of Freedom Village, and we'll have a conversation with State House Rep Nancy DeBoer of Holland. Following NBC News with Michael Kastner, it will be Lindsay Lawrence's Evergreen Commons Report. For Brian Spencer, I'm Gary Stevens. Thanks for listening to Talk of the Town. Have a good weekend. And we hope you can join us on Monday.